In this video, I'm going to talk about 6 commercial real estate terms you need to know as it pertains to getting a mortgage for commercial real estate or an investment property. Towards the end of this video, we're also going to review a term sheet to make sense of some of the technical terms we'll be discussing in this video. So if you're a real estate investor, an aspiring real estate investor, or any type of real estate professional, make sure you watch this video until the very end. For context, my name is Daniel Kwache with Skyfield Finance. We partner with entrepreneurial real estate investors to help you raise capital to purchase, refinance, rehab, and develop real estate. We've worked with hundreds of real estate investors across the country and have funded over 100 million investment property loans. As mentioned earlier, make sure you stick around to the very end as we'll be going over a sample term sheet for a long-term permanent refinance. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The first term you need to know as it pertains to getting a mortgage is the term maturity period. All real estate loans at some point in time must be paid back in full, or in other words, the loan is going to eventually mature and no longer exist. Simply put, the term maturity period refers to the lifespan of the loan. Now, the maturity period for commercial real estate loans is going to depend on the type of product. For shorter term loans like bridge loans or fix and flip loans, the maturity period is typically anywhere from 12 to 18 months. And in some cases, you can go as far as 24 to 36 months. At the end of the maturity period, a large lump sum payment is due. That large lump sum payment is typically referred to as a balloon payment. And the balloon payment is for the outstanding balance of the loan. For longer term loans, think 20, 25, 30-year mortgages, those loans are fully amortizing, meaning the loan is going to mature slowly over time until the loan balance has been paid off completely. And in that scenario, there actually won't be a balloon payment. The second term you need to know as it pertains to getting a mortgage is called the amortization period. The amortization period refers to the process of gradually paying down a loan over time through a series of periodic payments, usually on a monthly basis. The amount of time it takes to make those monthly payments and completely pay back the loan is referred to as the amortization period. For example, a commercial bank will quote a permanent loan on a term sheet, which we'll take a look at in a second. The bank will state that the terms of the loan are either 20, 25 or 30-year amortization. For shorter term loans like bridge loans, construction loans, or fix and flip loans, those loans are typically interest-only payments and they aren't amortized. Interest payments would be made for a year and then a balloon payment would be made at the end of that. And at that point, once the balloon payment is due, you would typically execute your exit strategy by either selling the property or refinancing into a permanent loan. The third term you need to know, which I'm sure you all have heard of before, is going to be the interest rate. As with all lenders, when a lender makes a loan, they expect to make a return on their money. That return that they expect to make is what they're charging you, the borrower, in the form of an interest rate. The interest rates quoted by commercial real estate lenders are determined by adding a margin to the standard index. So when lenders quote you a loan or issue a term sheet, on the term sheet, you'll be able to see the interest rate as prime plus 1 or prime plus. We'll go over that in more detail once we look at a sample term sheet towards the end of this video. The fourth term you should know is loan to value or LTV. LTV is a metric used by lenders and the market to determine the loan amount relative to the value of the property. It's typically expressed as a percentage. It's one of the metrics that we as lenders use to determine how much we'd be willing to lend on any given property. The formula for calculating the LTV is going to be the loan amount divided by the value of the property. In the event of a purchase, it's going to be the loan amount divided by the purchase price. For example, let's say you have a property valued at $1 million, and you also have a loan on that property in the amount of $500,000. You'll take $500,000 divided by $1 million, and that's going to equal 0.5. You'll then multiply that 0.5 by 100 to get a whole number of 50. As mentioned earlier, it's typically expressed as a percentage, so in that scenario, we would say the LTV on that property is 50%. The fifth term you should know is the term prepayment penalty. Real estate lenders make loans with the anticipation of receiving a return on their investment. That return on their investment is what essentially the interest rate that's being charged. So let's say a lender makes a loan. That loan matures in the next 10 years. That lender expects to receive the principal and interest payments on that loan for the next 10 years. Because of this expectation is the exact reason why lenders have prepayment penalties. Simply put, prepayment penalties are meant to act as a deterrent from you, the borrower, paying off the loan too early. You typically see prepayment penalties with longer term loans. Shorter term loans like bridge loans, fix and flip loans, or construction loans don't typically have prepayment penalties. The last term you need to know as it pertains to getting a mortgage is the recourse versus non-recourse provisions. Simply put, recourse refers to a loan that you are personally liable for as a borrower, in the event that the lender has losses associated with the foreclosure of the property. The term non-recourse means that the borrower is not personally liable for any lender losses associated with the foreclosure of the property. And of course, this is assuming that there is no fraud or misrepresentations. Most borrowers, especially sophisticated borrowers with multiple partners, usually prefer a non-recourse loan. So those are the 6 terms you need to know as it pertains to getting a mortgage for commercial real estate or an investment property. As promised at the beginning of this video, let's review a sample term sheet. Now, in case anyone's wondering, term sheet is a non-binding agreement that outlines all of the key terms of the proposed loan. So looking at our screen here, you'll see that we have our term sheet here. Now, in terms of the process, at this stage, you've made an offer on the property. Your offer was accepted. You now have either 60 days to close or 90 days to close. Once that time comes, you'll come to us as lenders. You'll give us the income and expenses. You'll also give us a personal financial statement. And what we'll do is we'll issue you a term sheet. And essentially, this is going to outline the terms of the loan that we're going to be making. So you'll see here, you have your term sheet. If you scroll down just a bit, you have who the term sheet is going to be made out to. All right, so the borrower is going to be an entity acceptable to the bank. In most cases, when you're borrowing a loan, it has to be lent out to an entity, so either an LLC, an S Corp. In some cases, it can be a non-for-profit. You'll see here we have a credit facility, commercial real estate credit facility. So let's assume this is a 10-unit multifamily building, and we want to go ahead and get a refinance loan on that 10-unit multifamily building. The loan amount is going to be for $1 million. You'll see here we have the term and the amortization period. All right, now going back to those terms that we spoke about earlier, the terms of this loan is going to be 5-year fixed, meaning the interest rate is going to be fixed for 5 years with an option to renew for another 5 years. You'll see here the amortization period is going to be for 25 years. All right, now on the residential side, you typically see amortization periods of 30 years. On the commercial side, it's a little more common for the amortization period to be for 25 years. Underneath that, you'll see here on the term sheet, we have the interest rate that's going to be charged. So for this specific loan, the year 1 interest rate is going to be 4.8%. And as you can see, this was during the pandemic time, so the interest rates were a lot lower. So you'll see here the interest rate is going to be fixed for 5 years at a rate of 4.8%. And then from years 6 to 10, it's going to adjust, and it's going to be whatever the prime rate is plus 0.375%. And the floor is going to be this interest rate over here. Underneath that, you have the loan to value, another term that we spoke about earlier. So the maximum loan to value for this loan is going to be 70%. Now, when you're going to get this refinance loan, the property is going to have to get appraised, of course, and the lender is going to say, hey, we're going to lend you guys up to 70% of the appraised amount. And typically, the term sheet is going to have the terms of the loan along with any other contingencies and any documents that the lender is going to require from you. So you'll see here, it's going to be a first mortgage on a commercial property located at 123 YouTube Road, New York, New York. There's going to be an assignment of rents, personal guarantee, from the principals, meaning this is actually a recourse loan and not a non-recourse loan. It's going to be subject to due diligence and underwriting review. All right, rental verification must be provided. So if you're doing your loans, if you're an investor in New York, you'll have to have your DHCR or any documents to prove the rental amount. You also have this commitment fee, which is going to be 0.50% of the loan amount, which it is negotiable, but it is on the term sheet. You'll see here another term that we spoke about, your prepayment penalty. You'll notice that this loan is going to be fixed for 5 years. So if you pay off the loan in the first year, you're going to pay 5 points or 500 basis points. And basically those are just fancy terms for saying you'll pay 5% in interest, or 5%, 5 points. If you paid off in the fourth year, you'll pay 4 points. If you paid off in the third year, you'll pay 3 points. If you paid off in the second year, you'll pay 2 points, and in the last year, you're gonna pay 1 point. All right, so this is gonna be your prepayment penalties. Debt service ratio, all right, so a minimum of 1.3 must be maintained throughout the life of the loan. And then that's gonna pretty much summarize the term sheet. I mean, if you scroll down on the term sheet, you'll see here that there's some due diligence. So the above property is gonna be appraised by an independent appraiser. Scrolling down a little further, you have some costs associated with this loan. So the appraisal cost, the phase 1 inspection if needed. A lot of lenders will want a phase 1 inspection if the property is 8 units or more. If it's under 8 units, they don't typically require it, but at the end of the day, it is at the discretion of the lender. Underneath that, you have your commitment fee, you have your title closing fee, and then they'll list some of the documents that's required. So you'll see here a completed application package, tax returns, so personal tax returns, and then tax returns for the holding entity, right? So for this loan, the bank is going to want to see your personal tax returns for 3 years, and also the tax returns for the LLC that's going to be getting this refinance. The bank is also going to want any lease agreements, any proofs of rents, and then a bio and resume of the borrower. All right, so this is what a term sheet is going to look like from a lender. All right, so that wraps it up for today's video. If you received any value from today's video, make sure you hit that like button and share this video with anyone that may appreciate this video. Also, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you're a real estate investor, the link is in the description to get a quote for a loan. And if there are any specific topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, please comment below to let us know what those topics are. Until next time, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.